His parents instilled trust and self-belief within him. Back in 1994, he had to negotiate his way through into a business school as his grades were less than impressive. But he had his heart in the right place. He wanted to connect with people and create value for them. Today, he owns one of the largest Salesforce consulting partner companies in the world with more than 1,100 employees with strong values. He has 3 beautiful kids and a soulmate who's invested into well-being of people and communities. Traction on Demand is a Canadian success story which is creating impact for customer success globally. And his North Star is being present and being in the present. Let's welcome Greg Malpass, Traction on Demand CEO. Hey Greg.
Hey Kiran, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Same here, and it's the first time I'm interviewing a CEO of any company.
Oh, fun. Well, there you go. Well, you know, the funny thing about the CEO role is, you know, and especially the founder role is, you got to think it was, for 4 years, I just sat in a little room and taught myself how to implement Salesforce. So it's a weird title to carry, to be honest, the whole CEO. I still see myself as chief cook and bottle washer.
I cannot even imagine how it, feels to be a CEO, Greg. But again, Greg, you had a very interesting childhood. You were interested in sports. Your dad was a physician. They were actually your inspiration when you were a kid. And, this journey has been absolutely tremendous for you. And, a couple of lines on how you feel about all this.
Well, I feel, it's a balance of hard work and luck. But I really do feel fortunate. And I think there's a number of lottery tickets that both you and I share. And one of them is, we were born at a time where change, the access to technology, the fact that we can be right here together, talking across the world, as if there's no boundaries, it's pretty incredible. And even, of course, we're also very fortunate to be part of this Salesforce ecosystem, which is, created so much opportunity.
Which brings me to my next question, Greg. Why just Salesforce and Traction on Demand? What's the reason? What's the logic?
I've thought about that one a lot, and I think it's actually, I'd start with the word loyalty. One in the very beginning, the one thing I would say is that as you get to know me, I'm an incredibly loyal person, and I love serving, and that being in the services industry, obviously you have to love serving. You have to love helping people, and so I've always seen my role is to help people to be successful, to help them realize their potential. And as in the very beginning, I actually taught myself on all platforms. I just loved helping sales and marketing teams work better together. And so I taught myself Act, I taught myself Sugar CRM, I taught myself Microsoft. And then there's this emerging company, really cutting edge, very disruptive, called Salesforce. And Salesforce was about 400 people in Salesforce when I first started working on the platform. And more people started asking me to implement Salesforce for them. They would essentially pass my name around after they had a successful experience with me. And so it just naturally became the one thing. And I always kind of said, look, I will always work with the best technology there is. And if one day, if it's not Salesforce, maybe I'll change. Well, after doing it now for 16 years, it's almost tiring to say I would ever consider changing, because Salesforce continues to out-innovate everybody. And so now it's just, being uni-platform, just focusing on the one, has allowed us, from a traction perspective, to basically cover all the full spectrum. Every cloud, every area of components. We're building platform applications. We're building companies based on Heroku. And we actually launched 5 software companies already. And so Salesforce just continues to just outpace, out-innovate, and even the culture that they built is so acquiring friendly. right? So we've watched Tableau, MuleSoft, Exact Target, these incredible companies actually be able to join Salesforce and even thrive further. So pretty amazing.
Salesforce is getting all the forces together, and that is the need of the hour, and you're in the middle of it, and Traction on Demand is doing some exemplary work in the market. Greg, if you remember, both of us met in Jaipur in India when you were there last time.
Yeah.
And I've seen you talk, I've interacted with you. You're a great leader, right? The way you motivate and inspire people, it's really refreshing to see. How are leaders nurtured in Traction on Demand, Greg?
I think what I would start with is we really try to embrace the whole self, right? And the truth is, leadership can be a very lonely place. In that there's times, we've certainly lived through this over the course of the last year and a half. For any leader that's listening to this, it was a very lonely year for a lot of us, because people were asking us questions that we simply didn't know the answers to, but we had to believe that good would prevail. And I think a part of kind of nurturing leadership is showing people that you actually really care about them, right? That you're there for them, you want to see them succeed, you want to challenge them and push them, and you see potential in them that they don't necessarily always recognize. And I think it's that, and you mentioned the reference to my parents. Well, they were pretty incredible, pretty formative for me in the early years, because they always believed I could do more than I believed I could do. And I think that's the starting point of leadership.
It's very important. Yeah. Thank you so much for that, Greg. And the fact that you have 5 more companies under the hood of Traction, also says something about you nurturing leaders, because there are another 5 CEOs and CTOs there.
Yeah, and I think that is one of the privileges of leadership, of what we've built from a Traction perspective. And the truth is, if you were to ask me, was building companies, was that part of the strategy of the business? The answer is no. It was about the potential of these people and my desire to continue to work with them. The other thing is, as I look across, I think there's been a leader, and there's the entrepreneurial perspective. And to be an entrepreneur, you have to have a little bit of a risk tolerance that isn't necessarily normal, right? There's no sure thing when you're building a company, when you're scaling, you're hiring thousands of people. And I think that, it's been such an incredible journey to kind of go through.
Absolutely inspiring, very inspiring, Greg. Greg, my next question is, it's been a long journey, successful journey. You might have definitely seen some tough situations in the way. Have you ever thought of quitting in between? Because, these thoughts come to our mind when we're working for, targets or goals like this.
There have certainly been times where I would say the fear rose in me, and times where maybe I was tired. But I think a lot of the thing is, if you go back to what I was originally saying, I have a real kind of a service kind of focus in me. I never wanted to let anyone down, and so there was never a point where quitting was an option. It was all about changing. And so there certainly have been some incredibly hard times, and times where I was uncertain whether or not we were going to be able to navigate certain passages. As I looked around me, the people that believed I could do it for them, or do it, and we could get through them, that always kind of lifted me up, lifted my spirits.
Wonderful to know that, Greg. I know, you need those people you love working with, in those tough times, to really lift your confidence. I think not everybody get that. Greg, you're not just building a company, but you're also building a community of socially conscious people, to build better communities in the world around you. What's the thought process behind it?
I think that companies have a responsibility. And I think it's, again, I think this year has really put a lens on that, where we can actually use our businesses as a force for good. And, if you look at something as simple as climate action, there's a really, there's a lot of things the world needs to do, but we know we need to get to net zero. We know that what we're doing to our planet is going to dramatically affect us. Well, I see Traction as a community and a collective of people that can do that. We can all put some energy into this, and actually we can also build a great business alongside that. We don't have to make sacrifices. We just have to build it into our business plan. And about a third of Traction's customers are nonprofits. And the reason we worked with nonprofits originally was because we wanted to do good, and we saw these as, if we could provide them with access to technology and scale, like commercial companies have, they can make a real difference. So I think really, I believe companies are the new community. I think this has been, our interactions with the companies that we work with and the people we work with have probably been, some of the key things that have got us through such difficult times over the course of the last year and change. And we still have a journey to get through this pandemic.
Right. No, I think, companies like yours have definitely set some very high goals for companies aspiring to do good at the same time, and also do something good to the communities as well. That's really nice. Greg, very quickly, Greg, what is Greg's next vision? What is he thinking right now? What does he want to achieve?
A vision that I put forward across Traction quite a number of years ago was 100 companies in 10 years. We're about 5 years into that right now. And what I see, specific to Salesforce, I think there's a really powerful opportunity for every one of us to start thinking about products across this community. So not just about implementing the technology, but how can we create accelerators? How can we create reusable IP? How can we help people to get to value faster? And I think, what's happened over the course of the last several years is Salesforce has become very expensive to implement. It's so complicated. There's so much business process. But I think we can actually, one bee in my bonnet is I want to make it simpler, faster, and cheaper. I want to make it more accessible, because I think we can help kind of this next generation of companies thrive. And I want to do it in a way that is that allows all of us to find the efficiencies of technology. You know what I mean?
Right. Absolutely. And I hope you achieve your vision and goal, Greg. Wish you all the very best. Before you go, we know that you're not just a CEO. You're into mountain biking. You're into welding and all. So a small gift from us, a beautiful mountain jersey and a helmet to keep you safe while you're on the mountain bike.
Well, that's incredibly generous. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, Greg. And it was a pleasure talking to you today. Have a great day.